So we have the bottom part of the primary hull pretty much ready to go. She's wired, the lights around the sensor dome, the thrusters, the navigation beacons are all set. I think what we're going to do now is turn our attention to the top. So let's put this aside and let's check out the top of the primary hull. So we're gonna do the running lights, and because we gotta be careful of the ridge to guide it in, I'm thinking we can go just a little bit right about there, almost halfway between this section, but we can use the line as a guide on the side. We'll do the same thing with the thrusters. We'll drill the thrusters. It'll be a little bit trickier, but we'll end up drilling through. And then we can put the lights in, run the wires. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to put it a little bit recessed. We're going to make it just about flush, just like we did on the bottom. Let's put this aside for a minute. Okay, so we know that there are 4 thrusters. So we're going to get ready. We're going to do the same thing we did from the bottom. We're going to wire everything and get everything ready to go because we have to put the thrusters on. So we've got, I've only got 3 left. Hopefully I have some more of the 3mm thruster bulbs. So we got the port, starboard, and the forward navigation beacons. We're going to need 1 more of the 3mm yellow bulbs for the thruster. Okay, I think we're ready to move on. I ended up getting more of the lights. These are the 3mm yellow lights, and these are going to be for the thrusters, just like we did for the bottom. So what we're going to do is, just like we did for the beacons, we're going to solder the resistors on and get them ready to install. And I think I want to make sure that they work. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put a resistor on and check it before we solder it. I'm going to put the saucer section to the side, and let's get out the resistors. All right, I'm going to put it on the positive lead. There. So what we're going to do now is I want to go ahead and we're going to test them out, make sure they're working. Let's show you guys. This one works. That one works. That one works. And lastly, this one works. Okay, so now that we know that they all work, we're going to go ahead, we're going to solder them now. Here we are. So we got everything nice and soldered. That one works. That one works. That one's okay. There we go. I'll just make sure. Yep. This one. That one still works. And finally, yep, they all work. Okay. So we can start with the thrusters. Now the thrusters are going to go on each corner of the primary hull, kind of like what we did. You remember what we did for the bottom? We had put the thrusters in, and we put it just about even with the surface, whereas the beacons came out, the navigation beacons came out a little bit more. The thrusters did not. So we're going to do the same thing on the top of the primary hull. And the first thing we're going to do is we actually have to drill these out. So because they're recessed, it'll be a little bit easier to drill these. So just like that. Here we are, and this is going to go in this way, and we're gonna make sure that it's just about even with the surface. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that for the next three. Looks good. So we got all the thrusters drilled out, and now we got to think about the navigation beacons. We're going to put one over here, and we're going to put one over here. This way here, we're going to be able to run an SMD up. Inside there, it'll illuminate the area around the bottom of the bridge area, and at the same time, it'll illuminate the officer's lounge. Make sure all the holes are nice and debris free. Make sure none of the little curls of plastic got stuck in them. Okay, so that looks good. So we're gonna do the, let's start with the thrusters. So the thrusters are gonna go in like that. And we're gonna have to be careful just because, see how close it's gonna go up against the outer rim? We gotta keep it on the inside. And we're gonna bring it down just about right there. So before it sets, we'll make it flush with the top of the crystal. When it comes to the navigation beacons, of course, port is red, and these are going to go in right here. And you can see how they're going to come up. They're not going to come out as that high, but they are going to protrude just a bit. So why don't we go ahead and see if this one is ready to hot glue, because that looks pretty good. Let's see if the glue gun is ready. All right. All right, let's do the same thing now. For the starboard side, we got green for the starboard. So it's going to go through right about like that. And we want to position it for the same. All right. Go ahead and glue this into position. And this is on its way. Okay, that looks good. So let's go ahead. It's going to be a little trickier with the thrusters, because see how close they are to the outer rim? See how that's starting to solidify? So you can see port and starboard. So we're going to do the same thing now with the thrusters. But again, with the thrusters, before the glue sets, we're going to have to make them flush with the surface. See how they're protruding? We don't want that. So let's go ahead and again, see how it's protruding? What I want to do is just as the glue starts to set, we kind of push it up through. There. See how it's flush with the surface? That's exactly what we want to do for the thrusters. Okay, so we're going to do that all the way around. And for this beacon, I want to do it a little bit like we did the thrusters, because I don't want this protruding too much because it's bright. So we don't want that taking up the whole top of the saucer section. So this is going to be just about a little bit more than flush, protruding just a bit. So all of the navigation beacons are in position, and we have all of the thrusters in position. So I think what I want to do is we need to go ahead, and we're actually going to bring them together. So I'm going to put the, yeah, that works pretty good. All right, let's start with the negative leads. All right, so this one is going to branch over there, and we got this one coming out to here. And we're going to jump from that one. Let's see, we're going to have enough to do two. Let's see if we can. And from here, we're going to jump it over to the last one. And we're going to join it with these to complete the circuit. There we are. So we got them all connected for the thrusters. We got the negatives, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the positives now. There. Now this completes the circuit. Now what we'll be able to do now, if we did it right, we're going to hook it up. So let's see, let's get these extra pieces of wire out of here, not to confuse it. All right. Yeah. Hopefully you guys can see that there. Let me put off the work light. There. See these? The thrusters are still a little brighter than I want, but we'll dull them down. We'll put something on them so it'll tone down so it's not quite as bright. Because we don't want the thrusters as bright as the beacons. Okay, so those are all set. So now we know they're working. So those are all set to be soldered. And remember, we're going to tie this in with the stationary lights on the bottom of the saucer section. It'll be easier to just jump a lead onto these. So these are okay. These are all set to be soldered. So now we got to do the same thing with the navigation beacons. So we'll start with the negative, and because I don't have, I want to use up all those pieces of wire that I have, I think we'll use some of the blue. There. Now we can do the same thing with the positive. There. We'll do the same thing. If we did it right, we're going to hook it up Gotta make sure we put the leads in front of the resistor, or we'll blow out the bulbs. Alright, so we put this over here. And let's see, are they all on? Oh yeah, the green is on. So we know these work now. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna tone down the beacon in the front. But now we know everything works, so we're gonna go ahead now. We need to solder all the leads. Okay, so we got the flux over everything. I'm going to go ahead now. We're going to solder it into place. Here we are. We got everything soldered in place. And let's see, what I want to do now is put this aside. And what we can do is we want to bring the leads down so they're actually closer to the surface. Just like that. Being careful not to the resistors, you don't want to bend these too much because you don't want them snapping. We're just going to lie them down. Just like that. There. Are we there? Everything will go on. So, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and try it out? I think what I want to do is we're going to jump them all together. All right, now what this is going to do is this is going to jump both circuits, and it's going to kind of tie them together. Keep in mind, we're not going to keep it this way. This is just to show you guys what all of the lights are going to look like lit up. All right, so we jump the negatives, and let's see, we can just jump something real quick for the positives. All right, let's try this one. All right, so now what we should do is when we hook up the leads, all the lights will light. All right, let's shut off the work light so you guys can see what they're looking like. There. So we've got all the lights on. So we got port, starboard, we got the forward beacon, and we've got all the maneuvering thrusters. And everything is going to line up with the bottom. So we have everything. Let's show you the bottom. Now these are just jumpers. Keep in mind, these are going to be separate circuits. Show you guys the bottom. All the lights are lit up, and keep in mind, the thrusters are going to be on constantly. Those are going to be on the same circuit as we're going to use for underneath the bridge, and the impulse crystal engines and the impulse crystal and the navigation beacons are going to be on their own circuit because they're going to be blinking. And then we're going to have the strobe coming out where the bridge area is, and that's going to tie into the strobes on the nacelles and one on the bottom of the ship. But everything is soldered. It's not pretty, but it's doing the job. We soldered all of the LEDs. We put all the resistors on. We hot glued them. We drill out the hull. We hot glued them into place. We wired them, tested them, and then we soldered everything. So now we're ready to move on. So in the next video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting the lights in that illuminate the area under the bridge. We're going to be lighting up the impulse crystal and the impulse engines. We're also going to be lighting the registry. So we're going to figure out how we're going to do that. But my friends, I thank you so much for watching. Until my next video, I'll talk to you guys soon.